Welcome to iPen Visions Podcast, interviews and conversations, where we bring authors, speakers, entrepreneurs, and those with a vision to our networking community and platform. Be our guest. Include your article, your ad, your promotions, and upcoming events in our quarterly magazine. We are proud to be a part of the Collective for podcast, a virtual tour showcasing you and your business. Our podcast, the magazine, a virtual tour, all on one platform where networking, creativity, and visions meet. All you have to do is contact us at ipendesign@gmail.com. And tonight, welcome to the show. Good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is Nanette Buchanan, and this is iPen Visions, interviews and conversations, where we have great conversations, informative conversations, as well as answer questions that people want to know. And tonight's show is a little different because it's what people want to whisper about. No one really wants to talk about the trauma they go through or what kind of trauma causes them to transform. But we all know that trauma does transform you, either in your personal life or your professional life. But what do you do about professional trauma? How do you get rid of that? You got to go to work. You got to deal with your coworkers. But what are you doing about dealing with management? What are you doing about the rules and regulations that you know just don't work, but they cause daily trauma? Well, our guest, Dr. Barnes, is going to tell us all about how to do that. And the program that she's developed that she wants to bring to the community and spread the word to all management that, hey, there's another way to do this thing. There's another way to be about this. And not only that, you can get a performance that's above and beyond if you're not causing the trauma in the workplace. So without further ado, I'm going to bring her to the stage. But before I do that, you guys already know, those of you that follow me, I have a partner. And when it comes to my management and everything else, I depend on her without my trauma. I don't know how much I traumatize her, but I mean, I'm good. So, hey, if she can't go from trauma to triumph, oh, well. But she does because she's that type of person. So, hey, Felice, come on up, girl. How are you?
You are hilarious.
How you doing?
I am great. Despite I'm ready for this episode.
You're ready for this episode? I know. You know what? I thought about it as a person that went from behind the scenes looking at stuff going, why are they doing it like that? Mm-hmm. Oh, he think he got it like that? Mm-hmm. Oh, she thinks she gonna move up like that? Yeah. I've been through the all the levels of management and then becoming management.
Yeah.
Turning it over to where I was in charge and then saying, oh no, I can't even follow what they tell me to follow. So that it ain't us, it's them, pointing the finger in opposite directions. So I can't wait. I've got some questions.
I do too. Questions. And in my last position working as an employee, I'm gonna say it that way. Yeah, I dealt with my trauma by leaving, but maybe
And you know what? I think that's what a lot of us do. We get so frustrated and aggravated. But I think the best thing about our guest is that she speaks about it and how it rolls over into other areas. Because it spreads in the community, it spreads in your home, it spreads, so I think the idea of her model that we're going to talk about, the idea of that is what I'm looking forward to talking about. So without further ado, why don't we bring her to the stage?
Yeah. Why don't we? If this episode turns into all about me.
Hey, look, she's the doctor, so we going to the doctor this kind of healing. We're gonna let her heal us.
Okay. We're gonna without further ado, let's do it.
Without further ado, let's do it. So we're bringing Dr. Xenia Barnes to our stage, and as you well know, as all of you well know that have been on the show, when we bring people to the stage, we don't bring them on the stage just because we like their smile or we like what they do. And
Yes.
we wanted to spread into a network of people. So please, 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 if you're listening, you're paying attention to it, and you need her services, please don't hesitate, please, because we're trying to conquer something in the community. So we want to bring her to the stage, clap her on. Hey, how are you?
How are you? Thank you so much for having me and sharing this space with me today, because the work that you are doing is extremely important, because you are having the tough conversations that people usually sweep under the
Listen,
rug.
I thank you for appreciating that, because a lot of people, although they want to gossip about it, or they want to, complain about it,
Yeah.
or they want to say they can do it better, they don't want to lay down the actual facts. And what we try to do in our networking, what we try to do is connect people that can say, hey, I need Dr. Barnes to come in and do my company. I need Dr. Barnes to do this, because we want to make some solutions. We don't want it to just be information that you write down, take notes, and put them somewhere and, bring them up as a an argument. No, we want you to implement it, implement it.
Yeah.
But the first thing that we do before we get into all of the good things that you do, the first thing that we want to do is we want to introduce you. And one thing that Felice and I have agreed on is the best introduction is self-introduction.
Okay.
So will you please tell us, who is Dr. Barnes?
Well, absolutely. Anytime I get to toot my hand on horn, I can appreciate that. Let me just straighten my crown. I am the one and only Reverend Dr. Xenia Barnes, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, in the heart of Brooklyn, New York. I am a social behavioral scientist, among many other hats or crowns I like to say that I wear. I am a trauma expert, which means I teach trauma informed practices to leaders so that they can have sustainable, productive teams, as opposed to continuing to bring generational trauma into the workplace and then try to figure out why the doors keep spinning with new employees.
Right.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, that I do, but my most important role, I would like to say, or title within all of that, is I am a long-term survivor, warrior of terminal illness. And so you see me here smiling, you see me here breathing and sharing in this space. And that means so much to me, because I know what it feels like to navigate tough spaces in the workplace when you're battling invisible disability, because without my oxygen on, you don't know that I'm battling a terminal illness. So it's important for me to name that for those who are battling different illnesses that you cannot see. Just know that you have a shepherd who's in these spaces and doing the work to bring change.
And you know what? I thank you so much, because I share that space to you. I try to bring whatever I can bring. And when I can't bring it, Felice tells me you okay and lets me know. So it's important to have not only a support team around you, but a support team that believes in you. A support team that looks at what you do and promotes you. So I want you to know at the start of this that I believe in you, because if I did not, you would not be here.
That's right.
So I want you to understand wholeheartedly that I believe in you, because of the simple fact that going through my own trauma, seeing others go through trauma, I know that you can't function well in a workplace where trauma exists. And that's not even your personal trauma. That's just the trauma of whatever you're doing in your workplace. So let's delve in to the actual. I want you to identify with me what is this academic research and practical community intervention that you looked at and said, you know what? I've done the work. I've studied it. Now I got to go put it in the community.
Oh, I love that. Let's dig into it. Yes. And so when you think about the academic research, a lot of the research that's out there is not particularly research that is for people of color when it comes to trauma and surviving and thriving after experiencing some form of trauma. You'll see a lot of research on maybe people in the service, military, survival. You'll see domestic abuse, women, things like that. But when it comes to people of color and understanding how to navigate generational trauma and systematic trauma that has been imposed on us, that oppression, it becomes this area where everyone says, well, that is in academia, they say, well, that is a vulnerable community. So a vulnerable population. So you can't really study that. And so for me, and within the years that I've been doing the research, I have over 20 years and studying human behavior, it was important for me to take what I learned, what I've been studying about trauma, and then tweak it and bring it into the community and say, okay, well, these are the things that I know from research. These are the things that I've witnessed, I've experienced, and I continue to see within the community. How do we make this practical? How do we put these systems together so that the system is now working for us instead of against us? So you hear the terminology like, oh, the system is broken. The system is not broken. The system is doing exactly what it was built to do.
And designed to do.
What it was designed to do is doing that. Our job is to build another system.
Right.
Our job is to create a system that will be intentional about disrupting poverty, disrupting, social emotional nicks and crannies and things like that, disrupting generational trauma, teaching our people how to heal themselves so that they can then heal those that's coming behind them and those that are coming along up beside them. And so that's what From Trauma to Triumph is about. When you think about it being practical and bringing it into the community as an intervention.
Absolutely. Okay. So what in your research and practicality or practice, what are there categories of trauma, or identify what a trauma is when you're talking?
And so when thank you for that. So when I'm speaking of trauma, I'm not speaking of trauma in the sense of like head trauma or some type of physical injury. I'm talking about the trauma that people don't see. You know how we walk around with this mask of I'm talking about the trauma of the I'm okay.
Right.
The trauma of I'm good. But you say you can tell in the tone of the I'm good. We've been so conditioned to be good, or what I call the underlying the resilience that people often put on us. That you I don't know how you made it through that. You're so resilient. Well, I didn't have an option. You know, I had to be good, because if I wasn't good, then the people who depend on me wouldn't be good.
That's right.
So when I talk about trauma, I'm talking about those cuts, those bruises that are under the skin that people don't always get to see. Once we are able to start healing those things, once we when we start learning to fall in love with ourselves, all over again, and knowing the things that we need, what love means to us, what safe space means to us, what peace of mind means to us, understanding an effective, productive mindset versus versus the irrational mindset, then we can operate from a different place. Because now when we're showing up to work, we're not showing up to work rubbing off our trauma onto someone else.
Well, not only that, I'm glad you brought that point up, because one of the things I know in teaching stress management and teaching some of the suicide awareness and everything, what you probably don't know, I'm from a law enforcement background.
Okay.
And I taught in the academy and then eventually became a sergeant, a supervisor to the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know in management, the bottom line people are the people that have, everybody on every level has a certain amount of trauma.
Mm-hmm.
But that boss that's running the company is not as traumatized as the line people that are doing the work, because he delegates what he wants done. So as long as he gets done what he delegates, his trauma is not on the same level. However, what I've found over the last couple of years, and I want you to address this for us, is this nuance that externally we get this fairy godmother with the pixie dust that flies over us and says that the salary is going to make us happy. You know,
Yeah.
the position and title is going to make us happy.
Yeah.
And the people that are now going to have to follow our lead is going to make us feel better, when we still don't have the power within, like you said, that knowing power to go to those at these board meetings, at these arrangement meetings, at these scheduling meetings, to even say to them that we do not need or we do not want anything to be an obstacle for us. That we don't want to argue with management. But when we come out of that meeting, we holding the book real tight, because we, principal, secretary, this and this. You're a receptionist, okay? You're typing, you're taking notes, you're a receptionist. You're not principal anything, because you don't have a voice.
Right.
You see where it's going left, and you got to try to turn them to the right to make sure that, certain people are covered, and they steady telling you, no, we're going left with it. So the trauma sometimes we create, imagining that we have this pixie fairy around us that's going to make it all right, or it's in the cup of coffee that's on our desk. As long as I had that cup of coffee, I can get through the day.
Yeah.
When do we understand that, like you said, it's within?
Yeah.
Is that in group training, or is in that, like you said, as individuals? When does that come into play? For, say, if I'm the manager of a company and I notice that there's a dishevelment of what's going on, do I do that in team building? Do I do that in, how do I get my team to realize I'm looking for you to be great, her to be great, him to be great? I'm looking for everybody to give me their greatness, and I'm not going to sprinkle dust over you to say that you're going to be greater than, so you could put it on social media and say, how great you are.
Right. And so what happens with that, right? Because it's not one or the other. They have to happen simultaneously. You have to, the individual has to be doing the work, but the team collectively has to be doing the work as well. And then you have to recognize this starts from the head, from the top down. It doesn't go from the down, from the bottom up. So if the person who is making the decisions don't have a good understanding of themselves, a good understanding of what it is that they want, if they're not able to actually make decisions and they're just a prop, they're just the face of what comes out, then you're going to continuously have that turmoil, because then you have the ones that's on the bottom looking up, or you have the employees looking at the supervisor saying, well, you told me this is how it was going to be. And you asked me for all this feedback. We gave you all this feedback. We told you what we need. And then you didn't even do anything with it. Well, what happens is, that supervisor probably took all that feedback and they went to that leadership meeting and they were so excited about the feedback that they had, that their team gave them, and they got in that meeting, and guess what? They supervisor parking lot where all those decisions was like, we didn't really want your input. We just needed to check the boxes off that we addressed this thing. So as long as I can say I addressed it, then it happened. You know, so
Right.
that's why it has to happen simultaneously. And so what a part of my job is going into organizations and going into corporations and doing the grunt work of when I'm coming in, I want to do my due diligence of looking and observing everyone. I want to observe staff. I want to observe leadership. I want to be a fly on the wall in one of the leadership or a couple of leadership meetings so I can see how the person who makes the decisions in the leadership team, how do you roll out information to your staff? How do you, how do you put things in play? Are you dictating to everyone, or are you someone that's saying, okay, I hear what you're saying, I receive what you're saying, how do we make this work? Are you solutions? Are you leading with solutions, or are you just leading with talk? And that's the difference. And that's how you know the difference between someone who is trauma informed versus someone who is just there and causing more trauma. If you a lot of the times what you'll notice, those bosses or those leadership, the ones who have all the titles and they have to keep reminding you of the title, like I'm the supervisor, I'm your boss, I'm your, it's always the me or the I'm show. You'll begin to notice that there's a lot of things within themselves that they don't like, and so
they don't have,
or they don't have any control over. So what control I do have, I have control over the people that I supervise. So now I'm going to micromanage you because I feel like I don't have any control in my life. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the things that I hate about myself, and I'm going to stress you out about it because I can't make any changes on that. And now this is how the trauma in the workplace starts to happen, because now you're disrupting the culture of the workplace. Or you have you have the leadership team that does the forced joy, I like to call it. But it's like everybody has to come hang out, and if you don't come to the after work party, then you're not helping the workforce culture, or you're not happy. And that's when the decisions are being made. But what about the people who can't go to the after work thing because they have responsibilities at home, that if they don't get there, they have to make sure their kids eat. They have to make sure they're taking care of this person at home. There's so many different interplays that happens in work that you can't separate your personal from work all the time. And so the important part of it, and that's why I say it happens simultaneously, because you have to do that mental check-in to understand you never want to be someone's last straw. So as a supervisor, you have to be emotional intelligent enough to understand when your employee is going through something, and the easy thing for you may be to say, you know what? How about you work from home today?
Recognizing the trauma.
Recognizing that sometimes in this space right here might not be the most productive for you. And I want you to be at your best, because when you're at your best, I'm at my best. And that's what a good leader does.
Well, that's the thing about a lot of the jobs. My work is basically all the time, it has been government. So when you go from the line is so long above before you get to those that really are doing things, that people are constantly questioning, well, why are we doing it this way? Well, why are we doing it that way? Why are we not doing this? Why are we not doing that? Or our agency operates just a little bit different than this agency, and we can't operate like they do in this area because we got this in this area. So when you say cultural behavior in the workplace, and we're going to get to how it works in the community and it goes home and everything else. But in the workplace, you brought up something that was very interesting. So for those that didn't hear it in the back, okay, what she's saying is for each workplace, there is a certain culture. Every workplace does not have the same culture. Nor does it have the same cultural guidelines that help it get through the daily process. So what I used to tell the officers was, they want you to kind of be schizophrenic. Because if you leave your home in the morning and you just had an argument with the kids, they weren't getting dressed on time, somebody didn't do their homework last night, your husband's not helping, he's out there trying to get the car together so that y'all all could get out on time and everybody could get where they got to go in the morning. He has no concern with who didn't get their lunch packed, who didn't remember that they had gym, they had to get ready. So you got confusion in the morning already. You get out at your job, regardless of where your workplace is. You get out at your job and you're just as confused when you get out the job because you never got a chance to say to the husband or say to the wife, hey, can I get some morning help? But when you walk through that job door, guess what you got to forget all about? Just what you went through, because who's carrying their home into the job? Because the job don't care.
Right.
You got a 9 o'clock meeting, you got there at 8:55. Guess what they're expecting?
Yeah.
You to be ready at 9 o'clock.
That's right.
So that type of trauma brings about stress.
Yeah. But I would just like to submit because, again, not to make this about me, but, in my former, as a single person that doesn't, my children are grown, I don't have those stressors because I part of that is not necessarily trauma, your everyday thing, but walking into a workplace and the workplace itself is toxic from the leadership to there. So yes, yes, you will have those outside things, but I'm talking about specifically
the inside.
And then, how you navigate. It's like when you're walking in, and even though I am a prayer warrior person, starting off, even before you walk in the door, and even to the point of praying when you get in the door. But
praying at your desk.
yeah. And had a little workplace prayer that I framed and put it on my desk to help me and others. But no, just all joking aside, that, again, working in an environment where there was nothing but toxicity from leadership. So what do you say about that? Because, I already spoiled the ending.
And thank you for sharing that. And so what's important about that, right, is recognizing, one, you have to know your limits. You have to know what it is that you are willing to take, how much you can take.
Yeah.
And you also have to know your options, right? So it's one thing, and I'm not telling anyone go quit your job, because it's hard out there and it's hard right now trying to get a job. So I'm not telling anybody go quit their job. But what I am telling you is there's nothing wrong with you doing a self-assessment of figuring out where you are. There's nothing wrong with you about polishing up your resume. I tell everybody every 6 months you need to polish up your resume. I don't care if you love the job, the role that you in, you keep your resume polished. You continue to do different professional developments, because you never know when something in the workplace is going to shift. So it's important for you to understand, like, again, your limitations. What is it? What is going, like, what it will be your last straw where you just saying, this is not, I cannot take this toxicity. This is not going to work for me. Sure. And then you need to plan, right? So I know that this keeps happening. What can I do to control my actions, my mental space, my mental wellness, and my ability to do my job effectively? Because if you're not able to do those things, what happens in the workplace is there's more opportunities for the toxicity to come to you, because now you have to continue having meetings with those toxic leadership team members, because they're going to continue to say, well, I told you to do this, and this, you didn't meet this deadline, or this wasn't. They're not going to come. They don't worry about how the information wasn't funneled down to you properly. Their thing is, I told you this was the deadline. You didn't meet the deadline. They don't care about the in between.
Mm-hmm.
This
Right,
is the job
right.
that was given to you. The in between is on you,
Yeah.
and that's what often happens. So
Mhm.
communication is really key. And if you're not communicating and you're not saying, you know what, I know we have a check-in, or we have a check-in on Wednesday. Can I
Mhm.
add something to the agenda? And then you add something, bring whatever it is, the topic that you want to
Mhm.
talk about, add that to the agenda. But you're coming in with, you want to come in not with emotion, but you want to come in with specific targeted facts and
Mhm.
solutions to whatever it is. So if you have a gripe about something, how can it be solved?
Right.
Whoever's on
Mhm.
the leadership team, the supervisor,
Mhm.
whoever it is that you meeting with, they don't want to hear the long drawn out story. They want to
Nope.
know what the problem is. They want to know how can it be solved and what we can do to address it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
The
well,
more we
if I'm doing
that,
Right.
if I'm doing that, am I not taking on another role? Because a lot of people, are against. Well, that ain't my job.
Mm.
That ain't for me to say.
Mm.
They should know it.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
They see what's going on, so they should know it. So, like you said, trauma informed practices. Okay, we know that this information is by the trauma that's going on, but
Mm-hmm.
do we really know, or can we really understand the fact that sometimes we have to go outside of the realm of what our job is?
Mm.
For example, if every day you're getting the same problem, if you're backed up for doing your reports because the people in certain sections are not bringing that report to you, but the pressure is on you to get the report done by a certain time. But every time you turn around, they're turning it in later and later and later.
Yeah.
So is it possible that even though I want to add to the agenda, I now can't even add to the agenda because what I wanted to speak on is always too late. It's always missing information, because what I'm trying to collectively gain, people are looking at it saying, that ain't your job. That ain't
and
your
Mm.
so
job.
but let's add. If I said some, I'm going to push you on that, and we're going to
Okay.
stretch it. We're going to stretch each other, right? So here's
Okay.
the thing: if we don't add it to the agenda for it to be addressed at some point,
Mm-hmm.
one of us is going to end up quitting.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's
Right.
ultimately going to be either going to
On a
be the
lower
person,
level.
right? The person on the lower level,
On a
because
lower level.
it's always going to be either somebody's going to be quitting or somebody's going to be let go. So if it's
Mm-hmm.
something that is impeding on your job and your ability to effectively do your work, then it is your responsibility to say, hey, I want to add this to the agenda because we need to address this, because this is the third or the fourth time that I have
Right.
not
Have to
been
deal
able
with
to do
this.
my job effectively. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to bring in when you like you're coming in to be a union rep for everybody else. You want to say, I
Right.
want to address this for me because I want to know, I want to be the most productive for
That I
myself and
could
for
be.
my role. And as
Right.
this strong link within this team. So maybe you turn it around. You're not pointing fingers. You're just saying, I want to be able to do my job most effectively so that us collectively as a team
Looks
can
better.
get the work done and get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And now
Mm-hmm.
that you brought this up, it's okay. Well, now we have this on the agenda. Well, what's going on? Why aren't we able to meet deadlines? So that's a bigger conversation. Now that's up to the leader or the
Right.
supervisor to now
Right.
dig more into that. And maybe there's a mishap somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Maybe someone needs more professional development. Maybe someone is overwhelmed and it's like that's not their level of brilliance in that area, and the
Mm-hmm.
task needs to be reshifted. But if the
Yeah.
dialogue never happens, then you still in this
Then how you
situation,
gonna
and it's
get
gonna
it?
keep
Right.
happening. It's gonna keep happening.
Right.
And now you frustrated. So every time you come and you gotta go to this meeting, you come into the meeting with an attitude, you're not hearing anything because you already have an attitude. Because here we go again. Every Wednesday we had this meeting and nothing changed, but nobody's
Mm-hmm.
saying anything. So you're actually contributing. You're
Right.
contributing to the toxicity because you're not willing to step up to do something. The people that love to say it's not my job are the same ones who love to complain about things not
Right.
going the
Right.
right way.
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
easy. It's easy to complain. I don't need you to complain. I need you to have solutions. I need us to have actions, and that's where the frustration comes in at a lot of the time on the leadership side as well. Now I spoke about being on as an employee. Now let's shift gears as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
As a leader, the frustration comes in as I keep hearing from by the water cooler all these complaints that everybody has, but no one has brought it up to me directly, so I can't address it because it's hearsay. I don't know if it's true or not. I just hear this rumor mill
Mm-hmm.
that's going around. If it
Sure.
was to be true, then someone would have brought it up for it to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
When you thinking
Mm-hmm.
from a leader's perspective, because guess what? As a leader, I have so many other things that's on my plate that I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
I have someone that I have to answer to. I have things that's on my job, on
Mm-hmm.
my agenda projects that I have to work on. So yes, I delegated the things to my team members so that I can do the bigger job, the bigger projects. So if we're in
Mm-hmm.
this meeting, I need
Mm-hmm.
us to be in this meeting and I need us to utilize this time properly. And I need
Right.
us to stick to this agenda. And I need us to address the things that are on the agenda. I don't have time to do a round circle of complaints with no solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
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 So now,
But
go ahead.
even that though, so as we're talking about this, it's always boils down to the willingness of those involved to make a change, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
me as the employee, when I do an assessment of how much I'm willing to take or what steps am I willing to go forth with to implement a change, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have that. We have this trauma of, being traumatized, and when you're in trauma, your first thought is there's nothing I can do about this, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
so you get that. And again, when you're up against a leadership that takes it as sport, really,
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
implement these things, right? And they're like, why would I want to change this? This is sport for me. This is, the way I like things. So, so when you're butted up against that, it really goes back to what you said, doctor, that you have to make an assessment for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what you're
And
willing.
sometimes when your back is up against the wall like that, I'm quite sure we've all seen it, that when your
Yeah.
back is up against the wall like that, you do have to make the final decision. Do I
Right.
want to stay here and beat my head against the wall,
Mm-hmm.
or do I really want to work with what's going on? But
Mm-hmm.
like I said, like my earlier question, when you go in with your model that you
Mm-hmm.
take into these different jobs and you take into these different, areas of work, do you go in with because I can't possibly see where you go in and you only work with the team that's doing the grunt work.
Mm-hmm.
No,
And like
has
you
to be
said, on the
has
flip
to be from the
side,
top
I
management.
also have to go in and talk to the next line up. I have to talk to top management. I have to get it where the whole team understands, yes, you are the coach. You give the play, but then no, you are the management. You give it to the coach. The coach gives it
Mm-hmm.
to the players. The players do the work,
Mm-hmm.
and then we see how we're scoring with it. Is it is
Mm-hmm.
it making sense? So I can't go in and talk to them about what you want implemented because you've already demonstrated that it's not working.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You've already said that your plan is not working, or you want your plan to tighten it up and make it work a little bit better. And I look at your overall plan and say to you, well, you've got sideline people that don't even open their mouth.
There you
Mm.
go.
You've got people that are not even saying yes, no, yay, nay. They're just following
Yes.
whatever you put on paper. And I know doggone well that their shifts are not the right shifts.
Mm-hmm.
The work that they're doing is an overload, or the
Mm-hmm.
work over here is an underload. They see that this person is sitting half of the day while they're grinding the whole day. So where does the in the trauma informed practices,
Mm-hmm.
when do we tell the team, or when do you tell the team that they're trauma informed? They need to be trauma
Mm-hmm.
informed, which means that they need to speak up.
Mm-hmm.
When do you tell middle management that they need to pass on the problems that they're having with their teams to upper management?
Mm-hmm.
And when do you tell upper management that it's all going to fall apart if you don't address it?
And
Yeah.
so and those things happen separately but then together. So it
Okay.
has to start. It has to start with upper management. It's like, and it
Mm-hmm.
has to be like, this is this after you do the assessment, you bring it, you go back to upper management. You say this, okay, this is what I observed.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I see, and this is why things are not working.
Yeah.
And until you
Mm-hmm.
have that discussion with them and they are on board and understand, because I can tell you all these things, I can point everything out to you. That does not mean that you're going to say, you know what? You're right. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
How can you help me make it better?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have the ones that say, well, I've been doing it this way for years and it hasn't certain like, and I haven't had any problem. And
Mm-hmm.
they living in this world of, if it ain't for me, if it's not broken for me,
It ain't broken for
and
nobody.
it can't
Mm-hmm.
be broken for them because I'm all right. My job is still getting
That's
done.
right. Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
then you also have the ones that it has that aha moment, and it's like, well, you know what? You're right. I will be less stressed if
Mm-hmm.
I was accurately delegating projects
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
to the right teams. If I was
Mm-hmm.
involving those employees who are often on the sidelines. A lot of the times the
Mm-hmm.
employees who are on the sideline, when you don't hear them, they don't add anything. Those are the ones who feel like I've come and I've tried to voice my
And I
opinion
don't
many
have
times,
nothing else to
and
say.
I don't have
Mm-hmm.
anything else to say because I keep
Mm-hmm.
saying to you
Yeah.
why, and because I'm doing the work and I'm the one doing it, and I keep telling
Mm-hmm.
you this is why it's not working, but you're gonna want to listen to me. So at this point, I don't have anything to say. I'm gonna come, I'm gonna clock in, I'm gonna do
Yeah.
my hours, and I'm gonna clock out. And that's
That's
what
right.
happens when people don't feel like their voice is being heard.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's right.
it's important for when I'm working with the leadership team and the people who are at the top that's making the decision, for them to understand that this is going to be uncomfortable at the start. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
be uncomfortable at the start, but you
Mm-hmm.
have to be willing to do the work, because if you're not if you're not willing to do the work, then
Mm-hmm.
everyone
Mm-hmm.
else that's looking up, because they're watching you because you're leadership.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not willing to do the work, then guess what? They're not gonna do it either, because they're gonna say, you know what? She here for a couple
Mm-hmm.
of weeks, or she here for the next four months,
And
and when
she'll be
she
gone.
leaves, it's gonna go right back
Mm-hmm.
to they only doing this for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Soon as she leave, it's gonna go right back. So it has to be buy-in from everyone. It has to be
Yeah.
buy-in from everyone.
But what makes the corporations or the higher ups, and I can tell you all kind of different little scenarios that I had to go through to prove people do it your way, and let's see how that works.
Mm-hmm.
That was my favorite background thing. Let's start with your way. Let's do it your way and let's see how it works. To the
Mm-hmm.
point where it got to the point where whenever there was a meeting of managers, it would always be, well, Miss Buchanan, what do you think? I'm not in charge.
Correct.
Why are you asking me? But because I was willing to speak up a few times,
Mm-hmm.
they became more willing to listen, even if it didn't involve what I was doing or didn't involve a project I was supposed to be handling. It would be, well, what's your opinion?
Yeah.
What's your this, what's your that? But now, workplace challenges, some of the challenges are that you get those temporary assignments.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Those people that get temporarily assigned until they hire somebody with the degree, or they hire somebody with the know-how. So now Sally or Uniqua is in the spot, and they think that they got it going on because they're in this spot, but they have no knowledge of what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't listen to the employee that's been doing it behind the scenes for
Well,
months.
yeah, but
And
that's
that happens often.
mm-hmm.
Right. So is the challenge then for the lower management,
Mm-hmm.
or is the challenge then on upper management securing that before this person comes in? Because you
And
get a lot of that. I know the job. Why are they bringing somebody else in? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? And that becomes one of the workplace challenges.
Well,
So
but still, Lynette, it boils down to leadership. So as you started talking about, they would come to you and you're like, I'm not the supervisor or whatever, but you are a leader, and they recognize that, and they recognize that you are a person that is already invested in the environment. So they'll come to you with that, knowing that you have some input, knowing that, as they call it now, that you're an influencer. You're an influencer. So they will come to you with those and kind of bounce it off, because you have obviously put your voice out there and your voice has been heard, and others have followed that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but understanding that yes, you are not, with upper management making the decisions, but you do have a big impact on how right? So so we all should be, just a little conscious of that
we can all be an influencer, right? We can all have some part in it.
Are influencers,
right,
whether to be or not, because when you step up and you be the voice of, hey, where others might be afraid to speak, especially if they're in trauma, that you become a voice. And so, yes, it would make sense for them to, kind of like see, especially if it's something that is going to be challenging for people. It comes like, let me bounce this off of you
and see what you think about the challenge. What's going to be the challenge?
Right. So here's the thing, and here's the thing with that, right? You have to make sure, because we're all influencers in our own right. But what you have to do is you have to make sure that you are not coaching yourself up to be coached out. And when I say that, I'm saying because you're thinking, I know this, and here's my opportunity. I'm going to go and I'm just going to start doing the work.
I'm going to try to move up.
Start doing the work. And you start doing the work without having a conversation with the people who makes the decision. Well, what is it that you're looking for exactly? What qualifications that you're looking for? So now, because what you should be doing is, once you know what they're looking for, and then you're being inquisitive, well, are you willing to hire from within, or are you already openly speaking from the outside? You have to be mindful and intentional about the way you place yourself. Because if you're going to go ahead and do the work for free, then I'm going to let you do the work for free as long as I can. And now when I find somebody else to bring in, all right, well, thank you. You volunteered. We know it'll be great. It would be great if you can train
this new person exactly,
because you know it so well. No, ma'am, no, sir, I cannot. I cannot. So that's why I say be mindful that you are not influencing yourself out of a job, or you're not coaching yourself to be, up to be coached out. Have those conversations. Get it in writing. I'm going to email you. I want to know in writing, what is it that you're looking for? What is it exactly that you're looking for? And what can I do to be the person that is able to step into this role? Because here's what I know. I know the job. I know the I know the team. I know what it is that you need. I can anticipate what you want before you even know it, because I know
I've been doing
Y, and Z. I'm already, here's how I'm already doing it. This is what my performance review says. So if you can speak up to it, you have to understand that you already interviewing for this position, and you're interviewing for it before it's even put out. So the important question is, are you willing to hire from within? And if they say yes, now you know to move on it, right? Now you want to move on it, because now your next thing should be, well, what is it that you're looking for from the employee that's within, so that you can know, like, do I check these boxes? Because if I don't check these boxes, then I need to be thinking, okay,
they're not even going to look at you. They're not even going to look at you.
You know what I'm saying? Is there some training that I can do within this time frame that's gonna make me eligible for this position? You know what I'm saying? Or not? it all falls back into you knowing how far you can be stretched, you knowing or what it is that you bring to the table, and you being able to articulate and speak up for yourself. Closed mouths will never get fed.
Never.
And that's part of the systematic barriers. I'll give you a perfect example, and I want you to break it down for me, because I tried to help the young lady understand it, but at some point in the conversation, she got mad at me for explaining it. I mean, you came to me and asked me what I thought, but then she got mad. But I told her it's already preset. It's a system, and it's a systematic barrier, so that they don't have to bring you up from within.
Yeah.
She had been doing the job. A gentleman quit doing the job, a line supervisor of some sort. He quit for various reasons, and she knew the reasons. So she avoided all of the reasons and was able to do the job, had been doing the job for 4 or 5 months. The person who left the job, the management, part of the management team, told her, I will leave instructions that when they get ready to hire for the position where this young man left, that they consider you. He didn't say pick you. He didn't say give it to you.
Right.
He said consider.
Yeah.
Okay. I had to emphasize that to her a couple of times.
Right.
He said consider. He did not say anything. Now he also got moved. Okay. He got moved as well. Well, when the new person came in, their first line of duty was to tell her to go back on the line. It was some type of assembly line thing. And they told you got to go back to your regular job. You're no longer going to be the one supervising those that are doing the job that you do. You are now going to go back. You are not monitoring them, making the reports, which was a step up. So of course she's looking for a pay raise. She's looking for better days. She's looking for better hours. She's looking for different things, because now I've been doing this for months. But they left it on the new management to come in. And that became the argument. Because she also knew more than the new management. Because she had been there.
And so what happens, and so what happens in that, and in scenarios like of that, is that we often hear what we want to hear.
That's
and
right.
We don't hear what is said. Because consider and leaving direct, explicit instructions that you should be the person stepping into this role are two different
things.
So
and that's
I told you that I said that they should consider you, because I used that language intentionally, because I know as long as I said that, I was going to feed you enough that you're going to continue to do the work.
That's right.
So now, if you want something to change, you're going to have to change it. So you're going to have to make this decision of, am I going to stay here, polish up my resumes, and start seeking other employment to go somewhere else? Because they did it to me once. They definitely going to do it to me again once they know that I'm just going to say lay over and say, okay. All right. So now, because now, in that case, I feel like I'm being demoted. For all these weeks, I've been walking around acting supervisor, and now here you go. You're gonna come in. I can make these. I can plant me a vacation. I have all these things going on because I know in the next couple of months I'm
going to get a pay raise.
That increase,
I'm giving, all these things that you have told yourself because you heard what you wanted to hear. And you didn't hear what was actually said. Another thing is not having those things in writing.
Right.
Because if you're gonna have it in writing, I can say I don't recall saying that. I don't recall saying that. And it's not really up to me. It's up to new management. It's up to the person who's stepping into the role. I'm sorry.
My hands are tied.
My hands are tied. Right.
So what are some of the other systematic barriers that you've encountered when you go to do these management, reshuffles? What are some of the other systematic barriers that you've come across?
Some of the other systematic barriers often fall within reasonable accommodations, the bureaucratic red tape that goes around people with disabilities who need certain days, need certain accommodations, need certain things just in work. And in the workplace to be able to effectively do their job. And where it's so sad is that what I notice in a lot of, and this happens so often in so many different organizations, people tend to feel like if they can't see or know what you're battling, then it's not happening.
Right.
So if I don't see you in the cast, if I don't see you on oxygen or crutches with a wheelchair, then you're not disabled. Oh, I don't understand why this person needs a specific chair. I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand why this person needs all these different accommodations. Why this I don't need it, so they should be able to do it. Why can't they walk up the stairs, or why can't it's because they don't see these things, and that's what and that happens so often. And it's very unfortunate because I always tell people you never know what someone else is battling. And you not, but you don't want what that person has, because someone could be battling cancer, and just because you can't see cancer doesn't mean it doesn't mean that it's not something that's awful and terrible, and you don't know what toll is taking on their body. Disabled people do not want to be disabled. They don't want to have to have these accommodations.
Not their identity.
And it's also not their identity. And speaking for myself, I can say, as someone who battled and went through all of those things, and that's what kind of stirred me into this as well. Constantly having to fight and make other people aware,
recognize
or make other people feel good, make them feel good about what I was going through. Was very it was very taxing. It was also very triggering and re-traumatizing, because I constantly had to relive or retell or open those wounds over and over to make other people feel okay or comfortable about what I was battling. And that's what happens often with people with ableism in the workplace. And that's a very big barrier and challenge that's often faced when people don't know what's going on, the ins and out. They feel like you don't need this, or why can't we all have this? And we all should be able to work from home 3 days out of the week, or we all should. But if you're able and you're functional and you're able to do,
then you're okay.
Then you're okay. Then you're okay. And that goes for that goes for a physical disability. That goes for a mental disability. Sometimes, let me tell you, sometimes the unseen is worse than being able to see somebody than the seen.
Yes.
Than the seen. And so and so for me, and when I do these talks, I always try to explain to individuals. I need them to understand that it is so important to hope and color, because everything is not black and white. And so you should give grace. You should give grace, have empathy, but also hope that you never have to
deal with it. And that's so important, especially in the workplace where you have more conditions and more different things that people have to deal with. And people were actually accommodating what they could accommodate because the job would not allow it, So if we're trying to add value, or is it control by telling somebody, because you're a diabetic, you can only put your medicine here? Or because you're diabetic, you can only do that on your lunch period. Well, that's not the way my medication runs.
Right.
I have to have it on certain hours, or I have to take it on certain hours. Or if you have an asthma attack, I need to have my asthma pump right there where I am. Well, we no, you can't have controlled medicine on in this area. Well, what do? Is that value or is that control? And I took it on the larger scale when we know that there's smaller levels of that value and that control. Some people make jokes about it. Well, we know y'all got to have certain things a certain way because y'all a certain way. No, is that value or is that control? How do we get the management as well as the subordinates? And I only say subordinates because I want to make a distinction between those that do and those that don't have a voice, How do we give everybody a voice when it comes to value or control?
Yeah.
And in order to do that, everyone has to get training, and everyone has to get the same training. So what happens is they do training in the way where they say, okay, we're going to send leadership for training, and then leadership is going to come back and train everybody else. Now, if everybody internalizes things differently, and that's why it's so important for everyone to get the same training. Because just because you walked away with and you say, you know what, I have to be more mindful about the way I approach things, or the language that I use. That doesn't mean that I got the same I in tune
idea,
or I internalize it the same way. I might walk away saying, you know what, well, I just need to make sure I don't say this in front of certain people. You understand? So it's important that everyone gets the same training, but then it's equally important to make sure that, okay, now you have this information. Now we need to make sure our policies match the information that we have. Because you can do all the training, but if you don't put it into action, or you don't implement any of the things that you walked away with, then we just spent 8 hours in this training for naught.
And you know what? It's funny that you say that. I can remember training these uppities. I used to call them uppities because they are the ones that wear the suit and the tie, the nice, three-piece skirt set, the nice heels, with the plastic red bottom, because half of them, the red bottom would have scraped off if you really wanted it to come off. But the thing about it is that, they really thought that they had a up and up, even over the trainers, because the trainers are lower level management. We go through the classes, we learn everything you need to know, and we implement the policies that they say and the regulations that they delve out. But like you said, everybody has to go to training because they have to know what's going on in training as well.
Right.
Exactly.
So now I'm doing a communication class. How valuable is communication in the workplace? That's like number one.
Communication is number one.
Number one. So now I'm doing
if you can't communicate,
you got a problem.
You have a problem.
You got a problem before you do anything else.
Miscommunication is at the root of every problem that happens.
Happens. Whether it's written communication, verbal communication, how you address people, what you talk about, no matter what it is, communication is key. Now I've got these superintendents, I've got these commissioner, I've got all of these uppity people for 5 days of training.
In my pocketbook.
Day one, they're on their phones, paging and texting and paging and text. I can't get 3 sentences in without somebody's thing going blah, 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 blah. So I'm like standing there going, I can't do this for 4 days because number one, they don't want to be here. Number two, I don't want to be here. Number three, we're not even on the same level when it comes to titles and employment. So how do I teach these people in training? How do I teach them that this is what you need to know? Because you need to know what your employees are getting. You need to know what I'm teaching them. Do you know how to break it down to a simple math quiz?
Wow.
To get them to the next day they came in and they stood up and clapped their hands and said to me, this is the first time that I'm definitely going to be paying attention the next 4 days. Because I gave them a simple math, a simple team building math sheet. All pluses are now minuses, all minuses are plus, all division is multiplication, all multiplication is division. Please do these 10 problems so that we can go over them.
Wow.
Of course, all their answers were wrong because guess what? They didn't do. They didn't read the directions.
They didn't read the directions. Communication. But you know what? What also, and this is something that I like to do, and it works for me. And you can beg, borrow, still use it if you want to. The important thing is, here's the return on your, and this is the return on your investment. When you talk money, this is when people listen.
They listen.
You can, and because I already got my money because I'm here. I showed up because I got my money already. You want to pay me $800 or $1,500 an hour to stand here and you walk away with nothing, I don't
I
Mm-hmm.
have a
still
problem
get
with that.
paid.
I
Yeah,
still get
right.
paid.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
However, I would recommend that you put your phones away
And
and
get
Mm-hmm.
something out of
and
it.
you know what I'm saying, and
And,
get something out of it for
and
your
get
money
something out of it.
so that you
Yeah.
can get a return on your investment.
Yeah.
Because
Mm-hmm.
because other than that, you just gave me $1,500 an hour
Mm-hmm.
to just be in here and look pretty, and I appreciate it, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that's what you wanted to
I
invest
don't
your
think
money.
that's what you wanted.
Yeah.
I don't think
And
I don't think that's what you
I think
intended.
that when they understand, when they see team building exercises, or they see, you communicating on that level, because like you said, communication is key. So when
Mm-hmm.
you go in to talk to these jobs and try to break the ice, because everybody's sitting there, they know they're in training. They know they got to have this training done. And no one really wants to talk about Joe who doesn't do his job, or this one that doesn't read the memos, or that one that doesn't do that. But we all know that it contributes to the problems we have in the workplace.
Yeah.
We also know that it brings trauma when you misspell all the words on your report and somebody's got to
Woo!
correct it before they can turn it in. And
Mm-hmm.
or you clock in late 5 minutes every day. But we understand that you got to get your son to school, and the school doesn't open until a certain time. So there's little tweaks and things that we have to do on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But how do we add value to what we know that what you're going through, regardless if it's health, or if it's, scheduling, or if it's just understanding,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not being controlling.
And so the value comes within having those check-ins, right? And being
Mm-hmm.
open and honest. Not the basic I just want to know how you doing or what's going on with you. Not that,
Right.
but
Right.
truly understanding, like, I've noticed there's been a change, and there's been a
And we
change
need
in
to
the
know
way
what that
you've been
change
operating.
is.
And we're having this meeting, we're having a discussion, not because I'm hoping, and being able to do your,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to execute your
Mm-hmm.
task or whatever project you're working on to the best of your ability. And when
Mm-hmm.
a person feels like you're being honest about that, then
Yeah.
they will be willing to open up, and they will be able to say, well, hey, this is what I need. If it's possible that if I can start at 9 because X, Y, and Z, and I can go from
Mm-hmm.
9 to 6. I can go
Mm-hmm.
from 9 to 7. It's like then, or either if I can work through my lunch break and leave earlier, so because I have to pick up my child from
Mm-hmm.
school, like they will
Mm-hmm.
come to you with solutions. But what happens is that communication often doesn't happen, and so it's
Mm-hmm.
just the frustration, and then it's the performance review. So it always leads from one or the other without the
Mm-hmm.
communication in the middle, and that's
Yeah.
when the value is removed, because I'm only seeing you as a machine, and I'm not seeing you as a
Right.
link.
As a person.
I'm
Right.
not seeing you as a person who fabric is woven within the
Mm-hmm.
culture
Mm-hmm.
of this job. And that's the thing. It's not about treating everybody like their family member or sister. It's not about that. It's about, when we say in team culture, we are understanding that together
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna
It brings
succeed
more.
best when we're working together to make sure that everybody is working, community, everybody is working to the best of their
Mm-hmm.
ability, and it's not a I got you. So
Yeah.
often we have to remove the I got you, because the I got you is the control. It's the control happens when I know that you need support, but I'm not gonna offer it, and I'm not gonna give it because you didn't ask me. Just
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
I see you drowning, do I not get the lifeguard because I see
Mm-hmm.
you drowning?
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Right.
important. It's important to be able to utilize everyone on the team so that collectively we can get to the goal. And that's how you bring value over control.
Yeah.
So is it better to speak about it or put it in writing? Do we put
It's
it in writing and make it a demand, or do we speak about it and put it in writing, or do we allow both to exist?
you allow both to exist, because I'm going to speak about it first, right? I'm going to acknowledge this thing happened. We're going to come up with some solutions. And now it's like, okay, we spoke about it. This thing happened. Now, should it happen again, now we're going to transfer it into the writing. It's like, okay, we spoke about this. These are the things that we said we were going to do. Now let's make sure that this lives in a place so that we can refer back to it. Because when you lead with the, I'm going to put it in writing, that's the control. That's the aha. That's the I got you. I'm putting in this email. You missed the deadline on that's the I got you, and now I'm being defensive.
Yeah.
So now tell me about this thing.
And so now I feel like you always do this. You always out to get me. You always.
Right. So tell me about this thing, ableism. Tell me about that thing called ableism.
Yes.
Because I feel
and we spoke a little bit about that earlier. Okay.
Yeah, I feel that this is something that's becoming more common in the workplace. That this idea of ableism. So what is it?
And so it's not becoming more common. It has it's just a new term for not being supportive to those who are disabled, right? So those who are battling with disability, the ableism is the systematic term for it, or the new term, the new language that has been put on it. So they don't want you to say that you're they don't want you to say that you're not supporting disabled individual, or keep calling people disabled. So that's why they say ableism. That's just the way, like when they made the when they shift the term trauma to psychological safety or psychological unsafe, every couple of years it's like, oh, you know what, we're not going to use that term anymore.
Right.
We're not going to use that term. We're going to use this term. And so ableism is a new term. And basically, again, what it means is that you are not in allyship, and you're not supported, or you're creating more barriers for those who may be differently impaired.
Oh, okay. All right. So how do we deal with healing the community? If we take the trauma out of the workplace, if we rid some of the problems that people are facing when they go to work, why is it important to communities as a whole?
Communities are everywhere. Communities are within your neighborhood. Communities are within your subset of your family. Communities are in the space that you interact in. Whichever space you are in, those are the spaces you want to make sure that you are aligning yourself with people who want the best for you. And that's why it's considered creating healing communities. You don't want to continue to sit in trauma and hurt and despair. And that's what you're doing when you're continuing to surround yourself with people who are not willing to operate in solutions. If I'm only willing to operate in fear and operate in stress, then I'm not in a space of healing. I'm not in a space of solutions.
Right.
And so that's why healing communities are important, because healing communities are about action. They're about doing the work for the better.
Right. Okay. So now, resiliency is not a choice for Black people.
Not at all.
It's a necessity. This was one of your quotes.
Drop all the mics and walk away. There's nothing else to say. It's not a choice.
The thing is that I've heard it time and time again. I do what I do because I got to do what I do. I do what I do because I don't have a choice. Or I do what I do because I was taught to be a survivor. Or I was taught to do this, or I was taught to do that. We know it's a necessity. We know that this is something that we've done. And I think that when I saw the quote, I was like, woo-wee, okay. We understand that now, plain and simple. It's out there. I'm saying this, I am the I am, because
Mm-hmm.
he is who he is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we say these
Come on now.
things and we stand on these things, but how many really understand that this is not just in our homes, not just in our community? It's got to be a thing in our workplace.
Mm. Well,
How do I become resilient in my workplace when I ain't the boss?
Well, I believe. Mhm. Right. See, I believe people are starting to get it now. See, last year alone, over 300,000 Black women lost their jobs.
Mhm.
And that's when we started to realize, hold on, wait a minute. I'm still in the trenches. A lot of,
Mhm.
so many of us had the title and we've been living with the title and the salary that we forgot that we were still in the trenches. And so it's important to
Mm.
understand. It's important to understand how to navigate through these spaces, because you never know when these spaces are going to
mhm,
change, and you never know when, like we just said, the verbiage often change. Sometimes, as we can see, the head change, the administration change, and when the
Mhm.
administration change, what
Mhm.
they do an overhaul, and they get rid of all the people
Mhm.
who's not they people, and the people who's not going to align with their vision. So it's important for you to know who you are. It's important for
At
you
all
to be able,
times.
at all
Mhm.
times. It's important for you to be able to make the decisions that work for you by any means necessary, so that you can be okay and come out on the other side. It's important for you to understand that you are the writer of your triumph. So you don't have to wait
Mm.
for
Mhm.
the big triumph to be successful. Sometimes
Mhm.
success is in the small wins. So if
mhm,
you
Mhm.
can stack up your small wins, your small triumphs, then you are not afraid when you have to make a change.
mhm.
Mhm.
Well, I
Like
would just
you hit the head on the nail when you said we have been taught to be survivor and be taught to be strong, but for generations we have been operating on survival mode.
Mhm.
What do
and,
Mhm.
we
and by
do?
that,
Listen, what does it look like for us in life when we have to when we are able to stop
Mhm.
operating from survival and start operating from thriving, from
right,
start
absolutely,
operating from a place where, all right, stop calling me resilient. I'm
yes,
doing the like I'm doing the work because I'm choosing to do this work, and I'm going to school to get my expertise on this so that I can better and put myself in a position
Mhm.
the same way you're doing it. You did these same
Mhm.
things. No one's calling you resilient for doing it,
mhm,
because it was just what had to be done. So
Mhm.
don't try to make me wear resiliency as a badge of
yeah,
honor when
Right.
when I
Right.
had no choice.
Right.
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 When I
Well,
had
Right.
when
but,
I had
but
no choice.
it goes back to this warrior mentality, really, because there is all in we're resilient because we always are have an opposition to our
Mm-hmm.
success.
Mhm.
So that's where
Mhm.
the resiliency comes from. By the very nature of you being in any position that you're in, you've exercised resiliency, not because we wanted to, but because
Mhm.
it's a necessity, right? So,
Exactly.
but I love what you're saying to change the mindset of being resilient for the sake of yourself, not the sake of the war or the
Exactly.
Mhm.
the opposition.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so as an individual, it's like, yes, I'm being, if you want to say resilient, I'm being resilient for the sake of, this is what I my plan is, and this is what
Mhm.
I'm operating towards.
Sure.
I'm operating from a thriving place, not a surviving place. But when I think
That's
about
right.
Mhm.
radical resiliency, now radical resiliency is something different. When I start talking about radical resiliency, I'm talking about changing systems. What can we
Mhm.
Yeah.
do
Mhm.
to to
Yeah.
get rid of these grandfather based colonial oppression systems
Right.
that we
Right.
have in place, so that we don't have to say that we're operating from resiliency. No, let's talk about radical resiliency. Let's talk about shaping, let's talk about restructuring and dismantling and then rebuilding systems without all the red tape that's keeping people oppressed and keeping people in poverty and
Mm-hmm.
poverty
Mm-hmm.
and keeping people underpaid, under and in these spaces where they're constantly in a psychological warfare battle.
Uh-huh.
That's what I mean when I say radical resiliency. That's
Right.
two
Right.
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, I mean, good grief. You've given us so much information and so many things to think about,
I love it.
especially with changing, how you operate within your workplace and in order for you to climb. Everybody wants to climb the ladder of success. I don't know anybody that doesn't have a ladder that they don't look at and say, is that all I got to do is climb that ladder? They don't realize that you got to
Right.
step carefully on a ladder. They got to
Mhm.
realize that if you don't have on the right shoes, you may fall.
Mhm.
They don't realize how high is the ladder. How
Or if
much
you
work
don't
do I
have
have
if you don't have an anchor if you don't have a spotter or an anchor at the base holding the ladder for you
holding the
so it
ladder up?
doesn't shift,
Exactly.
or fall back or fall forward.
Right. What do
That's a
you do?
difficult
So
place
they
to
don't
climb. Right.
understand. They don't understand that yes, the object is to reach the top, but you got to figure out, well, how wide are the stairs? What am I doing? So I want everybody to understand. Take from what has been said here, and just think about it, and then make sure that you contact Miss Barnes. Dr. Barnes has some information here you might want to look into. If you looking at your team, we're all about this new thing of building a team to get things done, collaborations and working together and everything else. I want somebody to tell me how my team looks. How does it look? How does it feel? Especially if it's been rocky, because we are
Yeah.
going through transition constantly. So as we lose the elders that might have put it there and the younger folks are taking over, what does my team need to keep it sustainable? What do I need to do? So here's her email. Get in touch with her. Talk to her. Find out. Bring her in. Let her come in and analyze what you need. Let her, do this. Like I said, we're building a networking community, but it's up to you to get in touch with the people that we present to you. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you to contact somebody that I don't think would be able to help you with what you do. It takes more than me just saying, okay, come on my show, because we're going to be, no, I'm looking at stuff. I'm paying attention. Wait a minute. No, I don't think you're going to be a fit, because we can't take you in the community. You ain't ready for the community. You ready to sit outside, but you ain't ready for the community. But Dr. Barnes here is telling us that even with a community, even with a team, even with those you think are backing you, you need to be sure that everyone's equally understanding not only the process, not only the progress, but the goals. And the goals have to be mentioned on all levels to
Yeah.
connect. So this is what it is. And Dr. Barnes, Felice has a last question for you, just like I had the opening question.
Yeah.
Felice has that last powerful question for you.
Yes. So, Dr. Barnes, it's truly a pleasure, and I thank you for the work that you do and the way that you do it. So, thank you again for all of your gifts and talents that you are sharing with the world. And so we want to be super responsible when we bring the people on that share such with passion and with um, let's see, just completeness and with everything. Because I believe you leave nothing on the table for your offering, right? But we look at you as a superhuman for all the work that you do. Because again, it's like, especially when you're championing a cause that is difficult. Let's just say that it's a difficult thing to address the trauma and truly address it in a responsible way. So I say all that to say, as you are filling the cups of others by helping them get to this place of understanding trauma and how to deal with it, you know, and we talk about empty cups all the time, all of it. And so we ask, what do you do to fill your cup? Because once again, the responsible thing to know is that, yes, you give and you give and you give, and that is a great and wonderful thing. But how do you fill your cup? Because you can't fill this position or this calling that you have from a place of emptiness. So what do you do?
Absolutely. And thank you for asking that. I have multiple things that I do. Some small, some big. Starting from the small, I make sure I schedule in 5-minute brain breaks. So whether it is a dance party, like I sit and I find whatever song it is that, and everyone has one that I don't care what you're doing when you hear this song, it just makes you want to dance.
Right.
I schedule that in and I play that song and and it's Mary J. Blige just fine. I don't care what's going on.
Nice.
That song, I'm like, I'm just going and I schedule it in intentionally so I can make sure that. But if my day is heavy, I know that this time is coming. When that time is coming, I don't care what I'm doing. I stop and I have my little 5-minute shoulder dance party, and then I get back to the work. I have my American Bully Pit Bull, and I get her together, and I hold her paws, and we just be dancing with each other. On the bigger scale, I always make sure that every other month I check into a hotel for a day or two, and I turn my cell phone off. And I just be with me.
Very good.
And in doing that, that allows me to replenish everything. It allows me to replenish my energy.
Yes.
It allows me to feel all the things I need to feel. Because often as people who are empaths and as healers or servers, we are so busy serving everyone else that we forget to feel the things we need.
That's right.
And so when I do those shutouts and I just check in, I allow myself time to, whether it is cry like a baby, whether it is just as I need to do those 2 days, that's what I do. And I write, I journal all the time. I'm always journaling. I journal I have a journal in different colors for different things. I have my red journal. That's my I'm tea off journal. That is where all the colorful language goes. I have my yellow journal. That is my harmony journal. That is all the laughs, the good thoughts, the peace, all of that. And then I have my in-between journal where it's like random thoughts. I always say, I might not know what it's about right now, but at least if I write it down, I can come back and I can figure it out. That's my black journal. That's what my black journal is for. It's all these random thoughts that I can go back and look through and I go, that's what I meant. That's what I meant by that. And so journaling, that's my other thing. And that's what helps me get back to feeling like me and being me when I allow myself that grace and space to do those things.
Awesome.
Well, we want to thank you, and I want to thank the audience for hanging in there, because this is another one of them good ones, because we went over the time, but I didn't want you to miss what she needed to say to us, or maybe it's just we needed to hear it. She knows what she's doing, but we don't know what she does for us. And sometimes it's just the words of others that do so much more than you just trying to figure out how can I say this? How can I put this appropriately? And everything that you said to our listeners and to those that will replay it and hear it has been so important and so impactful. I just want to thank you for that. I really do.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And please, my book, Triumph in the Trenches, Volume 3, the green book for navigating success for Black professionals is out now. You can go to RDB Speaks website so that you can purchase your book. Trust me, you don't want to miss out. There's tips, there's tools, there's strategies, all you need to know about navigating the professional workplace.
Well, I really appreciate you. I want to thank you all for being with us. And hey, until next Monday. We'll be talking. Talk to you later.
Absolutely.
Have a good
Thank you,
evening.
Dr.
Have a
Barnes.
good evening,
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.